Cisco 49 is deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99. Don't get it twisted, one and all with prime time. John Taylor, Jerry Rice down the side.
This is the 49er Faithful UK show, and this is the 2024 preview show. We have done it. We have made it through the long and often quite painful off-season and are ready to step aboard the roller coaster once again. I'm Gareth Ellis, and I'm joined by Paul Hope.
Football's back, baby.
Yay.
Let's go.
And Lee Gowland.
Hey, guys. This off-season has just flown by. I can't believe how quick this has come. I feel so unprepared.
You're not alone, but I feel you're getting your excuses in early for something.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Good. Sadly, got to start the show with the shocking news of Ricky Pearsall's gunshot wound. I think everyone knows by now that he is out of hospital. He has been placed on one of the injury lists, but we do hope we're going to see him back on the field soon. I think you guys talked about this at the last live show. Probably not much more to say other than, really, how do you think this has impacted the team's preparations?
Well, it's bound to have an impact because of exactly what happened. As far as impacting how we go into the season is concerned, I don't think it's impacted us this way, but will have had some sort of impact on the players. But at the end of the day, they are all professional players, and I would expect them to go into this first game as though nothing has happened.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's difficult to get past those events. Hopefully it's going to work in a positive way, if we can use that word, and fire the team up a little bit for the start of the season. I think Ayuk and Williams both sort of made some indications that it had got them thinking and mentally ready for the season in a strange way, an unwanted way. Paul, anything to add?
Yeah, I think when the news first broke, Gareth, we were all stunned. And like Lee said on the live last night, we weren't sure whether the reports were true. As you said, sending best wishes to Ricky. It's absolutely amazing that he's come through this in a positive light. He's already been back at the team facility. He's already been in the weight room. And like Lee said, it's kind of galvanised the team. All the noise of the off-season, Gareth, I think it's easy to forget this is a game. This is football. And when you look at the tragic events that happened on Saturday, the positives that have come out of it, the San Francisco Police Department were there on the scene. They've rallied around. And the fact that he's back in the facility. We joke as English, British, UK, people who listen to this show, Gareth, who watch soccer, for want of a better word. We make reference, as Lee said last night, to players diving, feigning injury. And we've got a player on our team
Rosette.
that was shot in the chest and he's back in the team facility. But, if he does make it on the field for week 5 against the Cardinals, the atmosphere at Levi's will be even more electric. But, yeah, I think it was a right place to start, Gareth. So well done, buddy.
I'll tell you what, so just to go on that theme, that must have been 1,000,001 shot, because apparently it went straight through. It didn't get any bone. So he's managed to get a bullet in between his ribs, not hit any major organs, and has gone through without touching a bone. I mean, that's just crazy. So effectively, I'm not making light of it. It's kind of like a flesh wound, but it's gone all the way through. Yeah.
Let's hope it's indicative of our luck this season.
Yeah.
So Nagy is still absent. Nagy is still holding out for his contract, but one guy who isn't is Trent Williams, and he finally signed. Again, probably wasn't much in doubt, probably not much to say, but some relief, I think, that we've got him back on the left side for week 1.
Yeah, I mean, the news broke, Gareth, actually at a decent time for us in the UK. And when Brad Graham shared the first tweet that I saw of Trent's brother, sharing the photo of them getting on the private jet, saying, year 15 loading. So I retweeted that. And then about half an hour later, content creators were sending me DMs saying, who's your source? Where's that come from? So I felt a little bit like Chris Wood, the insider on our Discord. So like you said, I think this time last week when we last met and chatted, we were worried about the offensive line. We were worried about week 1. Now Trent Williams is back. So the smile on all of our faces, Gareth, worth every penny that he's got. And I'm delighted to see the deal done, as was Lee, and he mentioned it last night.
Good. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's good to get done before the season starts. It would have been better to have it done 3 weeks ago, so that he could have actually been in pre-season and done some work. It does make me nervous, the fact that he's only had literally 3-4 days of training before he goes into a Monday night football game. And obviously we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, they've left it late as per usual. They're really good with the cap. They're really crap with timing.
But we've produced more cap space after Ayuk and Williams signing. There you go. Maths. Who knew?
Do you not think, Gareth, it's I think they were waiting for the Ayuk deal to be done to then let the Trent Williams deal, because they were done very quickly. And as you said, Lee, it's amazing, this salary cap. We always think, oh no, the salary cap hell's coming. And as you said, Gareth, we've given them more money, yet we've reduced the salary cap. And you look at the figures, we have the most cap space in the NFL, but I think that's in preparation for next year's off-season.
And rolling it over. Keeping it and rolling it over. So
we've got a certain quarterback that needs paying next year, everybody.
Do we? I hadn't heard that. Oh, maybe we'll save that for next off season then.
Yeah,
So
that's possibly why we stockpiling cap space.
Yeah.
That, and I've got this feeling that come the end of October, come the trade deadline, we might end up trying to bring somebody in.
Oh, you're leaping ahead there, Lee. That's a little bit later in the show.
Thought he wasn't prepared, Gareth.
He's sneaking that one in, isn't he? So we do have a bumper show. Let's look ahead. First part of the season, the bye week falls nicely at week 9. So have you got the schedule you can put up on the screen for those of you
certainly do.
Watching us on the tubes? We play the Jets, Vikings, Rams, Patriots, Cardinals, Seahawks, Chiefs and Cowboys before the bye week. So the obvious place to start would be week 2 against the Vikings. And the reason for this is we're going to do a Jets game preview roundup at the end of today's show. So yes, week 2, that is where we're going to start. And what better place to start than the UK faithful, or the 49ers UK based watch party. Vikings, a good early part of the season.
I don't know. See, I've got this real nagging feeling in the back of my mind because we've gone up against Sam. Yeah. It's just that type of thing where it'll come back and kind of bite us a little bit. I think on paper it should be one of those games where we're looking at it and thinking, yeah, that's an easy win for us. That should be a secure W. But this is a watch party in the UK. We've managed to win a couple of them.
Including Vikings.
Yeah, so I'm talking about official watch party.
Oh.
Official watch party.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've got that as a win. I'm not going to say whether it's going to be easy or not because I don't know.
I've got it as
sitting on the fence.
As well.
I'm going to end up with splinters in my arse.
To be fair though, Gareth, Jay Peplow told me off for not plugging this on the live. So if it doesn't go the way we want it to go in London, there is a group therapy session booked at Dishoom on the Monday morning. So if you do want in on the group therapy, I think it'll be a celebration, Gareth.
Yeah.
Come on. The last time there was an official watch party, which wasn't the Super Bowl, we all know how that ended, Lee. Your night went from worse, bad, it ended fantastically. So I think we're going to win this one. London watch party. We're all going to be dancing around in the red and gold.
Well, you say that, Paul, and I'm going to say speak for yourself because some of us are going to be working that night.
What do you mean? Some of us we don't work for the 49ers, do we? Oh, yes, breaking news.
Well, you and Gareth don't. But guess who's going to be hosting the show?
Let me think.
See, he didn't break this news last night.
It's because I didn't know this news last night.
Right,
I've only gotten this news in the last hour. If push comes to shove, it'll be me. But I have a couple of other people in mind.
So who are you going to share those names? A couple of other people in mind?
Not yet, Paul. I'm going to let you have a restless night's sleep.
It won't be restless for me. No, I mean, we're all excited for this one, Gareth.
We are.
So
definitely. Yeah, I've got us down as I've got to say a comfortable win against the Vikings. I think we might have a tougher game against the Jets. We'll come to that, but I think we are going to have far too much for Vikings. Even with the mighty power of Sam Darnold running their offense. So we can move on. Week 3 at the LA Rams. Paul, who have you got on this one?
Well, I can't see us sweeping the division this year. So I've decided when I did this a couple of weeks ago with good teams win, great teams cover, I had this one as a loss because I don't want to sit here and go win, 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 win. So I think we lose this one,
Why not?
but we win the one at Levi's. That's just the way I've approached this. And it'll all become clear at the end when we tot up the win losses, Gareth.
Blasphemy, Lee?
So again, I mean, I was on the same show as Paul, not that one, but one, it's got to be a good 4 or 5 weeks ago now. And we went through the schedule, and at the time I had this one down as a loss. But since then, they've gotten rid of their best linebacker. So they've lost the best defensive lineman. They've lost the best linebacker. I think the players they've brought in are not going to adequately replace them. I think the defense is much weaker. So even though I had a loss 4 or 5 weeks ago, I'm actually going to go for a win this time. I've changed my mind now that the roster's changed a bit.
So Mr. Unprepared is now bringing out things like that when we're supposed to be going win, loss, win, loss. I like it, Lee. It's all right. It's all right.
Everyone noticed. I toyed with this as a loss, but I think it's too early in the season for the Rams. I think we've got the consistency over them, and obviously the Shanahan factor. I think this one might be tight, but I've got us down for the win in LA. The Patriots, week 4, Lee.
So I'm going to go for my first bold prediction with the Patriots game, and I did this 4 or 5 weeks ago. The Rams is the only one that's changed from my predictions earlier on in the year, and the Patriots is going to be the 50 burger.
Nice. You've stunned Gareth to silence with that. I like it, Lee. I like it.
I was stunned to silence because I went on mute while I write it down.
I'll make it easy for you, Gareth, to win. The Patriots are awful.
Yeah, I've got that down as a routine and comfortable dispatch of the Patriots. Who would have thought that a few years ago? But here we are. Week 5, the Cardinals come to Levi's. Paul?
Yeah, we're winning this one. As I said at the start, Ricky Pearsall will be in attendance. The Cardinals have shown signs of improving, but I think we've still got their number. So it's an easy win for me.
Lee?
I don't think it's an easy win. I think it's going to be a close win. I think we win, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than what everybody would want. I think it's going to be squeaky bum time in the fourth quarter, but I think ultimately we do come away with the win.
I agree entirely with Lee there. I think the Cardinals are going to be a bit of a surprise factor, and I think they proved last season they're going to be tough to beat. They struggled to win, but I think they're always going to be tough to beat. Bit of a banana skin there as well, but I do have us beating the Cardinals. Week 6, a short week, Thursday night football, I think it is, at Seattle, our old friends. I hate myself for this, but I'm putting this down as a banana skin loss for us. So I'm just going to get that in early and then hide my shame.
Well, that surprises us, that does, Gareth. I'm actually going to go for a comfortable win, and I'm already getting my prediction in there. It's going to be 31-13, so write that one down, Gareth.
Not that he's bitter about that at all.
But yeah, I think that's going to be a win. I like what the Seahawks have done in the draft in free agency, but I still don't think they're good enough. They've got a new coaching staff in there. It's going to take them a while to get used to their methods. I'm saying that. I mean, obviously, Jim Harbaugh came into the 49ers and completely changed the way we play. There's nothing to say that the coach that's gone to the Seattle Seahawks isn't going to do the same thing. But I just can't see it because they've still got Geno Smith under centre. And I think that's the main difference.
He is the limiting factor, I think.
Yeah, I've got this one as a win as well,
Good.
Gareth. I think the way we played the
glad.
last couple of years against the Seahawks. So, yeah. And I'm not going to go bold with the score prediction just yet.
That's good. Lee's got 2 in already, so yeah, we'll have to catch up. Week 7, the Chiefs visiting Levi's. Paul.
Yeah, this will be the Newcastle watch party, so I have to go for a win. It isn't revenge for the Super Bowl because this is a regular season game, but I'd like to think we can beat the Chiefs in the regular season, so I'm going to stick my neck on the line and say it's a win for the 49ers.
Lee?
Well, Steve Spagnuolo's got Kyle's number, hasn't he? I mean, we just can't seem to get over the line against the Chiefs. I think what Paul just mentioned there, the fact that it's the a watch party up in Newcastle with the Arrowhead Abroad group, we vastly outnumber them. It's just set up for a Chiefs win. And I think we're going to lose that one.
Very sadly, I've got a Chiefs win as well. It's tough, but ultimately, a lot will be made of it being a Super Bowl rematch. But they're in the opposite conference. It's a game that isn't going to define the season for either of us, win or lose.
Yeah.
And so, if we're going to beat them, I'd rather it's the game after week 7 than week 7. So I have us down as a loss. So back-to-back losses, and part of it, I think, with my Seahawks loss was I think the team maybe having that eye on the Chiefs game ahead. And obviously the league starts to bite in terms of injuries and aching bodies at around this time. But there we go, back-to-back losses. But I have got us rebounding with a week 8 win, comfortable win against what I think are going to be a fading Dallas Cowboys. So that's something to cheer you up. Lee, agree with me?
I agree with you, Gareth. I think it's going to be an embarrassing win for us. It's going to be embarrassing for the Cowboys anyway. I'm also going to do another bold prediction. George Kittle is going to pancake block Micah Parsons on a run play. He's going to drive him into the ground and make him look silly.
Gareth, I was going to say later on when you got to the bold predictions, but I'm going to have to say it now at 16 minutes in. One of my bold predictions for this year, everybody, was Lee Gowland would make the boldest of predictions, because this is what this man is known for, and already he's sprinkling them in. So I just want it on record that we've not talked about anyone's bold predictions before we recorded.
No, I've got a list of another 5.
This is Mr. No Prep.
Yeah, I was going to say no prep. Now, to be fair, I think we win this one. My good friend Chris Pollard, Paul Redman, both Cowboys fans, they are feeling confident going into this season, but I haven't seen anything, Gareth, that shows that they've closed the gap on the best team in the NFC.
No.
And I think we win this one quite well.
I think you've got to be better every single year. I think we're just about better. I think Dallas are definitely a team, along with some others in the league, who just, you can't see where they've made themselves better in the off-season. And that's not a good place to be. How sad for the Cowboys. But moving on, we have the bye week. I'm 6-2 at the bye week. Do you remember what you guys are? I think you're both 5-1, aren't you?
7-1.
7-1. There we go. My maths already.
7-1.
Well, we haven't done week 1.
Oh, yes, we haven't done week 1.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Given the game away.
Yeah, so I've got the one loss before the bye week. I think if we do lose a couple more, like some of you guys have predicted, I think 49ers Twitter might be an interesting place, because it's a very dignified place at times when things maybe not going the way people want. So it might be comedy value, but I've got us having the one loss heading into the bye week before we talk about the Jets game. I'll just throw that out there. Gotta add that to your total later, Gareth.
Well, there we go. I've got 2 losses before the bye week, with the Jets game undecided. The trade deadline isn't quite matching with the bye week, but it's similar. Do you think we're going to make any moves? We do have all this cap space, and we do hear these words all in. To me, all in means you're all in, even if it's that signing those mercenary half-season contracts for large amounts of money, or even dipping into the trade market. What do you think? Are we strong enough? Do we going to need to strengthen?
I think we do make a trade, and the trade could go either way. So if we play well up to the trade deadline, so in the first 8 weeks, if we come out of the first 8 weeks with a 7-1, 6-2 record, then I think we make a trade to strengthen a weak area in the team to take us all the way. If for whatever reason we completely implode the first 8 weeks of the season, I think we trade. I think we trade one of our stars away to increase cap space and get draft picks for next season and reload. So I think regardless of how it goes, we will trade. We'll either bring somebody in or we'll get rid of somebody that we don't want to get rid of.
Don't like the sound of that.
I mean, I don't think we go all in, Gareth, where we burn the cap space. We've seen we're quite frugal and we're building for a reason. But we have demonstrated under Lynch and Shanahan that if there's a trade to be made, like you said, we brought Chase Young in last year, which ultimately was a rental deal. We brought Sanders in a couple of years ago. Maybe defensive end could be a position that we look at when I've been doing my prep for the Jets opener. But I do think the phones will be ringing, as Lee said, either way. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a trade. And I wouldn't be surprised to see us get the better end of the trade because, as you said, that guy with a calculator seems to do magic tricks. And I don't know how he does it. And I still don't fully understand it. But yeah, I think we'll be one of the people engaging in that market, mate.
Yeah, I think we'll, injuries notwithstanding, I think we will possibly top up. I do wonder if the words Hassan Reddick will be talked about between John Lynch and his counterpart over the coming weekend. A player I've long coveted since he was with the Cardinals. I do wonder if one of our young linebacker core steps up and maybe ends up being having a few good games, possibly with Greenlaw coming back. There's something there we may be able to dangle as part of a trade deal because we do seem to have this wealth of riches at linebacker and maybe we will decide to strengthen somewhere else. But yeah, I think we will be in the business, but I don't think it's going to be a blockbuster. But I think we might sign a useful addition for the back end of the season. So, speaking of which, the back end.
So before we go, before we move off trades, Paul mentioned something that's just rang a bell. So he said that guy does fantastic things, magic with those numbers. That guy doesn't do anything with those numbers anymore. Because he stepped away from that position. He now runs Leeds United. As far as I'm aware, it's somebody else who came in to backfill Parag Marath.
Right.
So I'm not quite sure who's doing the contracts now, but I don't believe it's Parag anymore.
Well, he's left his calculator. He's definitely left something
he's
on
left
his
that
notepad.
spreadsheet with the formulas intact, hopefully. So
that's where Nick Clark went.
So. The business end of the season starting in week 10. Buccaneers, then on to Seahawks, Packers, Bills, Bears, Rams, Dolphins, Lions, and finally the Cardinals for the second time. Let's start with the Bucs then. Lee, back end of the season?
Yeah, it's a win. I think that one's going to be a comfortable win. I would love to be at that game. There's quite a few people from the UK faithful going out there. Brett Sinclair, Matty Johnson, Anthony Folger. I would love to be there. I doubt I'm going to get out this year to a game, but I think that's going to be a comfortable win. And I hope the guys don't get burnt too much because it's going to be red hot still in Tampa.
Paul?
Yeah, I think this one's a win. Bold prediction: we might see Brett Sinclair go live from the Buccaneers Stadium. We won't understand a word he's saying. He'll look very jolly with John Chapman, I'm sure. But like Lee said, this one's been circled on the calendar because there's a few of the faithful out there. Can't wait to see them flying the flag. Can't wait to see the pictures from John Chapman's event, which I know they're all going to. But yeah, this one's a win. The Buccaneers are getting better, but they're not quite near the level they need to be to beat us yet.
Yeah, I've got to stand for a win. I think the Buccaneers are that kind of team that might be able to string together a decent record, but they're not in that upper tier. They should be the sort of team that, if we are the team we want to be, we should be beating those sort of teams on the road reasonably comfortably. And I think that is exactly what we are going to do. Before we welcome our good friends, the Seahawks, back to Levi's, I have us got down this as a bit of a revenge game, and I think we are going to win this at home. Could be a bit of a humdinger. I've got that feeling that this is going to be one of those classics. Paul?
Yeah, I think we win this one. The Seahawks are my main rivals, and I'm glad we've kind of got their number. Lee mentioned earlier, new coaching staff, but Geno Smith's still a quarterback, and I think Nick Bosa's going to be hungry this night, and I think we win this one.
Yeah, completely agreed. I think this is going to be an easy win. 31-13.
31-13? Again.
Colin Hay, that's your next T-shirt, buddy. You need to get that printed. 49ers Seahawks 31-13 because Lee Gowland said so. That's the only score prediction you're ever doing for that game now, mate.
You know what? No, in all these years, the only game I didn't predict 31-13 is the game that won 31-13.
Mm-hmm. We know.
Yeah.
So, week 12, at the Packers, end of November. Take your coat and your scarf if you're going to this one. I've got us slipping up on this one. I think the Packers are going to be really good this season.
Yep, can't disagree. I've got us slipping up on this one as well. I've got us down for a loss. I think it'll be a close loss, but I think the schedule hasn't been very kind to us. Going into Lambeau in week 12, just as at the back of autumn, start of winter, and then the week after we go into the Bills. I mean, two really bad cold weather stadiums to go to, and they've got us going towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I think we lose this one. I think my social
Unanimous.
media goes into a meltdown because there's a lot of Packers fans who like to give me a lot of stick. Let them have the regular season win, Gareth, because when it matters, I know where my money is. But yeah, I think the same as Lee. Being in Green Bay, cold, I just think it's one of those games. We get in, no injuries, we get out, and we don't overreact.
Yeah, I think that's, I agree with that completely. And as Lee has already teed up, week 13, another trip to the Bills. Good chance we might stay East Coast for those back-to-back cold weather games. Maybe do a little bit of cold weather training, not go back to the West Coast. Don't know if there's any word on that. Wouldn't expect it yet. But that could be a factor. We tended to have done those quite well, I think, those little away trips with the back-to-back East Coast games. So I've got us beating the Bills. I have the Bills as slightly disappointing this season. I think they're similar to the Cowboys in that they didn't really get better, and I think they're going to struggle a little bit this season, and we're going to beat them in the snow. Yeah,
completely agree. I mean, I think we're going to beat them. I agree. I don't think that they've kind of regressed over the last couple of years. I think the week before at the Packers at Lambeau, that's going to leave us in good stead for that game against the Bills. We're going to be acclimatised. Even if we go back to California and come out again, I think we're going to be acclimatised for the game time experience. And I think we go into Buffalo and we get the win.
See, this is where I disagree with both of you, purely because I think it's going to be cold weather. I do like Josh Allen. You're right, Gareth. They are going through some significant changes on both sides of the ball. But I just remember to that game when Josh Allen took us apart and ultimately led Kyle Shanahan to want a Josh Allen, and hence us going for Trey Lance, which I'll mention that name now. But I think we lose this one. I think we lose the Packers, the Bills. Social media goes into meltdown, but at the end of the season, it's all right. Because just stay with me, faithful. I'm not giving up the faith just yet. But I'll have this one as a loss on my sheet, Gareth.
It could be tough, and I think weather and temperature will play their part in that game, as they do come December. Week 14, the Bears come to California. A lot of people are saying the Bears are going to be great. I just don't think they've got the experience to beat us. So I'm having that as a win.
Yeah, completely agree. Win.
I'm having that one as a win. My mate, who is a Bears fan, who was very high on their hopes this season, has already texted me and said, there's no way we're beating you guys in that one. So, yes, Brett Sinclair, a friend that supports the Bears. Who would have thought it? But I said I would give him a shout out. He listens to the show. And, I have this one, winning this one, Gareth, as you were both taking a drink there.
Yeah, it's the excitement. Week 15, really down to the business end of the season here. It's the Rams. Who have you got? Lee, you love the Rams. Start us off.
Yeah, it's going to be a 49ers win. It's at Levi's. Sean McVay's not coming to Levi's and beating us.
Yeah, I have this one as the win. Just hope Sean McVay isn't got his betting sheet out, Gareth, and he's gone against the spread or doing something crazy. But no, I think we win this one quite easily as well.
Yeah, I've got us down as a win. Here, I think a lot of people are talking about the Rams. I think their end of last season, they beat quite a lot of poor teams, and it made them look at perhaps a little bit better than they are. I certainly hope so. Week 16, a trip to the Dolphins, another one of the Shanahan coaching tree. I've got us down as a win. Paul, do you agree?
Yeah, I've got this one down as a win.
I've got this one down as a close loss.
Ooh. Well, I toyed with it, but I still think the Dolphins are going to fade like they did last season. I don't know why.
You've just made Andy Davies very happy, Lee, because when I went on his show, he's a Dolphins fan. I said the Niners are winning this one. He was just like, oh, man. So, yeah, I think we win this one.
Week 17, the Lions. Lee, how do you think it's going to go?
I actually think we're going to get beat in this game as well. I think this is going to be another loss. I think it's going to be a close loss. And I think it's going to mean... Well, we'll wait until we get to week 18.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we've all had a similar thought process. That win that we got against them in the playoffs obviously has been motivating for them. Now, I think we lose this one, but I don't think it has the impact Lee thinks it's going to have when we get to the end of the season. I think we're still going to be all right when it comes to playoff seasons, Lee. I think maybe it's the Lions might be fighting for their life, and a win might mean more to them than it does to us. But I think the Lions get a little bit of revenge for last year, Gareth. So I have this one as a loss when I was doing these shows earlier.
Yeah, I've sadly, we're in agreement once again. I think this is going to be a game after a tough run in the last 4 or 5 games before that. I think the Lions, as you said, are going to be fighting in a very tough NFC North. And I think they're going to just want it that little bit more, perhaps at the end of the season. Whereas I'm hoping by then we already have our post-season place secured and are looking ahead for bigger battles, which also leads into my week 18. I think, as with last year, I think we may lose week 18 because it's not going to matter to us. Paul?
See, this is the Joshua Dobbs game.
Yeah.
This is where we're going to win this one easily, and this is where we secure the number 1 seed in the NFC, but I've got this one as a win.
See, now I don't think this is the Joshua Dobbs game. Had I gone for a win against the Lions, I'd have gone for a loss against the Cardinals. But I think because we've lost against the Lions and the Dolphins, I think week 18 is going to be pivotal to who gets the number 1 seed. And because of that, I think we go into Arizona and we beat the Cardinals with Brock Purdy as the quarterback.
And at this stage, Gareth, Alex Simpson is at home and he's writing all the win-losses down. And then when we do the preview before each week and we all go 49ers win, that's when Alec will come back and say, hang on a minute, Lee Gowland, you told me. I'm only joking. I just had to get that reference in there. It's all good fun.
Everything changes, particularly as soon as the injuries, and you see how the other teams are shaking out and what they're playing for, particularly at the back end of the season. I think that makes a big difference to it. So there we are. We've made it through to week 18. How many losses have you got for the Niners on the back end of that of the season? I think you both had 1 in the first half.
3. Yeah, I've got 3.
I've got 3.
I've got 4. And we've got 1 game left to talk about.
We do. Well, I think we should get the season predictions set. So I think you're possibly going to have to give away what you might think the win-loss will be for the Jets game, because I have us at 12-5, and I think both of you are a game ahead.
Yeah, I've got 13-4 is what I reckon our season record is, and the number 1 seed.
Yeah. So I've got 13-4 as well, which is different to what me and Paul discussed 4 or 5 weeks ago, where I had 12-5, with that Rams game at the Rams being the difference. I now think we're going to win that game. So 13-4 for me, and that's me. That's me predicting with my head rather than my heart, because to be honest, I think the way the last few seasons have gone, the fact that we'll call it what it is, the adversity that we've seen in the last few weeks, the contract issues, the fact that Ricky Pearsall, our first round draft pick, was shot literally the Saturday before we due to play football. I think the adversity we've been through, the fact that we've lost to the Chiefs twice, we've been to the NFC Championship game 3 times in the last few years. I think this is probably the season where we set up and going 20-0, baby. I can honestly see us with my heart going through the whole season undefeated, because when I look at that, there's only the Chiefs that should give us any problems. That should. But then you take into consideration where we playing, when we playing, who we played before, and then your head starts thinking, well, we'll have had a tough stretch there. We might lose this game. We might lose that game. But I think we're a resilient team.
Totally.
And I think
it
isn't beyond the realms of possibility that we do go all the way and win the Super Bowl and not get defeated once. The Chiefs game, the Chiefs game would be pivotal on week 7. If we can beat the Chiefs, it's that belief. It's that belief, and then you go into the Super Bowl knowing, well, we beat them then. We know we can beat them.
I just think that it's so difficult with the parity in the modern NFL and just the grind of the season that we saw last season, the Christmas Day game against Baltimore, where we just couldn't do anything right. And the chances of that not happening at one game, a random point during the season, is so slim that I think it's just such a struggle to possibly even contemplate going unbeaten through the modern NFL. There's just too many variables. The luck just has to fall with you every single week, and in some respects other results around the league as well. Everything just has to go in your favour, and I just don't think it happens. As you see, there's going to be one of those games where we don't click, and it's not about losing, as I always say, it's about how you react, and it's flushing that game and not letting it affect the next one, as we did with that poor performance at home against Baltimore, where it was one of those games. And I think we every team has it in them. The Chiefs haven't come close to being unbeaten in any of the seasons where they have been, let's face it, dominant for 4 or 5 seasons. I don't think they've done better than 13 and 4 maybe during that time. That just shows how tough it is. But I'll take the 12 and 5, 13 and 4.
Gareth?
It doesn't
matter.
It doesn't.
The Patriots went undefeated and then lost in the
one.
Super Bowl. And can you imagine the pressure now if the Niners went undefeated?
Yeah.
And as Gareth said there, Lee, the luck of the bounce of the ball doesn't go the right way like it did in the NFC Championship game. And like you said, Gareth, as soon as you mentioned the Chiefs, I was thinking, I can't remember their season records when they've won the Super Bowl, but I remember them celebrating.
Nobody does remember. Yeah.
So, and this is the point of the show, Gareth, where we spent 40 minutes talking about it properly, and then Gowland comes in and goes, 20-0, undefeated. Forget everything I've just said.
I'll tell you what, you're allowed to predict with both your head and your heart.
Yeah.
Me head says 13 and 4. It actually said 12 and 5 not that long ago. But my heart is saying 20-0, baby.
Are you going to do what Brian Davis did then?
Get the Brasso out.
To get that Brasso out, because that is a legendary quote of this podcast.
Yeah. Get the Brasso off.
It is. I approached this kind of thinking, what do I feel the season's going to be? I thought 12 and 5 sounded about right, and then I had to go through the schedule and find the 5 losses, because when I look at all of the games in isolation, as you said, I think other than the Chiefs, everybody there I think is beatable. The Chiefs and the Packers are the big games, and I think potentially the Dolphins and the Lions at the end of a tough season are going to be our other big games. But other than that, got to say I'm confident.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident. I mean, we've got all the offensive starters back. We're going into the season with the key pieces that we need. The coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball's been changed. We're going to get into all that. But yeah, Gareth, it's a great time to be a 49ers fan, and especially if you're in the UK and you're interacting on our community, you're attending our watch parties. It's going to be one hell of a ride, whatever happens. So I can't wait.
Totally. So, should we go to the fun part? Have you got some team and player predictions? The bolder, the better, really. Should we start with offense? Either the whole offensive side of the ball or some offensive players. What have you got? What are you going to stick your necks out with?
So who do you want first? Gowland or Hall? Who are you wanting?
Paul, because Lee's already been throwing them out like confetti. So
he has, throwing him to steal my thunder. So I think that the 49ers take the franchise record for points scored in a season. So back in 1994, we didn't have a bad football team. They scored 505 points, Gareth. Now, we're known for being bold on this show. The record in the NFL is 606, set by the Denver Broncos in 2013. The 2024 49ers are smashing that record because Brock Purdy's on fire. We've got all our pieces. So for me, the Niners set a franchise record in points scored and also the NFL record in a season. You wanted ball, chaps? There you go. I've started balls.
I've got no response to that other than that is bold.
Right,
Lee
offense,
beat it.
Yeah, so offense, I've gone with individual player bold predictions. And I'm not entirely sure how bold this first one is, to be honest. Given the performance last year, I don't think it's that bold, but I say Brock Purdy will be MVP. I think George Kittle will break the tight end receiving record. I think this is kind of... It's strange to say it. It's like a bounce back year for George Kittle because I think you'll get a lot more of the ball this time. You'll be using the receiving game a lot more. And I think the reason that'll happen is because everybody's going to be concentrating on the likes of Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, even Juwan Jennings. So I think George Kittle will go unnoticed as a pass catcher, as a receiver, because he's normally blocking.
Do you have a total for his touchdowns? Because Mr. Hope has George Kittle on his list. I thought we were
you crack on with the touchdowns then.
So I believe Kittle has a season like you said, Lee, because his offense is spreading the ball around. I think Kittle gets 10 touchdowns, Gareth, and he has 1,000 receiving yards.
Is that 10 touchdowns in one game, Paul?
No, not in one game. It would be pretty good. I also, on the same page as Lee, Gareth, the Brock Purdy, so I'll cross that one off. I think he wins the MVP award because he's going to throw 36 touchdowns in this record-breaking season. So for that, obviously the NFL are going to love him because he's going to be airing that ball out and he gets the MVP. So over to you, Gareth, because me and Lee have stole quite a few already.
Well, there we go. You were on a roll. I didn't want to stop you. I didn't have Purdy down as the MVP. I think it's a popularity contest, and I think there's still too many of the people involved who are embarrassed that they had him as such a low draft pick that there's going to be just it's rubbish. Let's face it. But I've got Purdy throwing for 40 TDs. Because he's going to need them to get those points, Paul, isn't he? He's going to be needing them.
Gareth.
No, we've got the good rush day. So I do have a Purdy one. I do have CMC getting back-to-back offensive MVP. I think he is going to have much the same sort of season again in terms of TDs and all-round production. And I think he is going to get the back-to-back offensive MVP.
I've just come up with
Not
another
that bold, though. Go on, Lee.
Do you want Jennings to throw 2 touchdown passes?
He's all good. So your CMC one, Gareth, I'll up that to, I think he gets 25 TDs this year, and I think he gets 2,000 total yards. So same as you, I think he's going to have another stellar season. But I wasn't sure whether we were sprinkling them all in. So I put numbers. I wanted to back up what I was saying. But yeah, Juwan Jennings, Lee, for 2 thrown touchdown passes. Have you already got that bet on with Paddy Power? Or is your account being closed after the Super Bowl?
Banned from betting on Jennings.
And I did have one more offensive, Gareth, because I wasn't sure if Najee would throw this one in. Deebo Samuel will have 1,000 receiving yards for only the second time in his career. So I'm not talking about his rushing yards. Purely as a receiver, I think Deebo gets 1,000 yards.
That's a good call. Lee, have you got anything else offensive?
Not offensive.
You can always come back to it.
Well, I've got quite a few things to say that's downright offensive, but no, I don't.
I've got one more for the full offense, but I think we'll have 4 players who score 10 plus TDs. The usual suspects: CMC, Kittle, Deebo, and Ayuk. But I think that they're all going to feed, and they're all going to get 10 each, 10 plus each. There you go. There's most of Purdy's 40 thrown touchdowns right there. I also have a Scott on the 50 burger. I think that could be the Patriots game. I know people say their defense is good, but the defense is only good if your offense can actually sustain a drive. And I feel we're just going to be all over the Patriots, and we're going to wear down whatever defense they've got, and they're just going to want to go home by about the third quarter. So, like Lee, I think we've got 50 burger at the Pats. I think we matched that last year as well. We both said the Giants were going to be 50
against
burgers.
The Giants,
and we didn't
work out so well.
Well,
I mean, it was still a good game, but it wasn't a 50 burger.
It wasn't a 50 burger. Right, how about Pats and Cowboys are going to be 50 burgers? That's a bit more bolder, isn't it? Or is are Dallas going to be that bad? Fingers crossed.
Well, we weren't that
see what
far off a
happens
50
when-
burger on them last year.
Exactly.
Yeah, true. See what happens when Nadji's not here to keep us right. We're just predicting 50 burgers, 600-point seasons. He'll be like, chaps, I need to come back. You need to lower the expectations a little bit.
Defensive. What have you got?
So
Lee.
I've got Nick Bosa breaking the sack record on his way to his second Defensive Player of the Year award.
I totally agree. I hung 97 up behind me, so he stole my thunder there. I think Bosa's going to get... I said 22 sacks, but whatever number Lee said. So yeah, I think Bosa's going to have a season, Gareth. He was at OTAs, he's looking healthy, and I think he's happy, which is going to translate on the pitch. Defense, Lee, we're talking sacks. I think on the defensive side of the ball, we're going to step up, and we're going to set the franchise record in sacks. Now, our current record, Gareth, is 61. That was set in 1976. But records are there to be broken.
They are. That's a long record.
68 sacks we're getting this season.
Wow.
I think Bosa and Floyd, and there's going to be a couple of others sprinkled around. So, yeah, I think we get 68 sacks as a team this year.
Right, well, in that case, I'm going to add another 6 sacks to that, and I say we do 74 plus. Which will be
Alex
an NFL
Simpson,
record.
I hope you've got that pen ready, buddy.
You're going to get 174. I'm going to have to go better.
I'll tell you
than
what,
that.
that's the same bold prediction I had, not last season, but the season before.
No, I think it was last season, wasn't it?
Was it?
I think so.
No, I don't know. Because I do remember Gowland having one about interceptions, and I've got one for interceptions as well, but I don't want to steal all your thunder, Gareth, because I know Demo is your boy, and I'm wondering whether you've got some bold predictions for your boy this year.
More, it's along the lines of my TD predictions for the entire offense. I have got Hufanga, Brown, and Demo, all getting 5 interceptions, a pick 6 each, and at least 1 sack each for all 3 of them.
I think you check my notes because the number I had, Gareth, was 30 interceptions. Last 2 years, the Niners have been tied for the league. In interception 21 and 22, and I think the work we've done with the secondary, the fact that Staley's come in, I think they're going to be a turnover machine this year. I think we get 30 interceptions, and I like how you've sprinkled those numbers around. And I believe your boy Demo, all pro, first team. I know it's a popularity, but he's in a contract year. He's already said he's not negotiating until the end of the season, and I think he balls out, and I can't wait to see it.
Good, yeah, I agree with that totally. I think he's going to be a superstar by the end of the season.
And Lee's looking at his notes. I disagree with your NFL defensive player, Lee, because I think Fred Warner is going to be the NFL defensive player of the year.
Nick
I'm just throwing him out there
so
now.
I've got one more defense-related bold prediction. I think our defense is going to be so dominant this season, we're going to have 6 All-Pro selections on defense alone.
Yeah, I think J.R. Brown makes the Pro Bowl. And like you said, I just think that as much as the focus is on the front 4, I think the secondary is going to be prominent this year, Lee. And I think that pressure is going to translate to the front end, like what we're going to see with week 1 against the Jets. I think the fact that you've got a good secondary, it translates into the quarterbacks panicking, the sacks coming, and then if the ball is just flung up in the air, interceptions, baby.
I've gone for that. I think we're going to be a bit more balanced towards the back end. It's going to be the interceptions, I think, rather than the front first sacks. But I think the sacks are going to be there because they will be coverage sacks rather than the raw power beating the offensive line type sacks. But let's face it, a sack is a sack, and we will have any that we get. I think Bosa is potentially primed for a vintage year. I do think I think he's going to hit 20. I don't know, the record's 23 and a half, 24 and a half, something like that. I think he's going to hit 20 though.
23 and a half.
His best is 18 and a half, so if he gets 20, Gareth, that'd be
That's it.
heading in the right direction. I have a special teams bold prediction because I know the UK faithful love a special team. So the new kickoff rules have come in, Lee. The Niners haven't had a multiple kick return since 1963. And my boy, Isaac Guerrero, showed what he could do in pre-season. So he's going to have multiple kick returns this season, Gareth. And we're going to be like, roller coaster? What roller coaster? Because Guerrero is going to run him home. And I can't wait. And one of them will be week 2 against the Vikings. And we'll all be dancing in the red and gold in London. Look at
the single season sack record is 22.5, not 23.5.
22.5. There we go. I think Bosa's going to be close, but I'm not sure he's going to grab it. Don't know why. Maybe that's just a bit too bold. Or should I go bold and say no? He's going to get it. That's it. Yeah, 25 for Bosa. He's going to hit 25. 20 didn't sound bold enough.
Now, we also have some 49er UK faithful bold predictions. Now, you might know, for those people watching on YouTube, if you're listening, I'm waving the fantastic trophy that we compete for. I believe this trophy stays with me, Gareth. I'm retaining the trophy, and I'm also going to get 2 perfect 100% scores right. Gowland is going to implode when I get 1, but 2 right, and he has to shake my hand and give me the trophy again at the end of the season. Look at his face.
I'm not sure that's UK faithful related. I think that's just you related.
Yeah, it is.
You're making bold predictions about your own bold predictions.
Well, I did say earlier Gowland would have the boldest predictions, and then I was thinking, what would Gareth do? And I thought, no, I don't want to put you on the spot. But the final one, we hit 2,000 YouTube subs, chaps. This time last year, we said we'd hit 1,000 by Super Bowl Sunday. We made it by the skin of our teeth on Super Bowl Sunday. So I'm going to set the bar high and go for 2,000 YouTube subs by Super Bowl Sunday.
Now that is bold.
It is bold.
If tonight's show is anything to go by, it certainly is. So.
It's not as bold as the Najee 1 million subscribers, but it's bold.
No, but, go bold or go home. Got anything else for us, Lee? I think I've been a bit sedate this year. I feel a bit let down. I haven't got enough that's bold. I just want to win.
Yeah, don't we all? No, I mean, I think we're up to 52 minutes. I think we should crack on with the Jets.
We should. Well, actually, there is the small matter of player watch as well. Have you guys picked a player that you're going to be keeping an eye on this season?
Well, I had. As soon as he was drafted, I said Malik Mustafa, but Najee's nicked him off us. So I'm going to go for Dominic Pooney.
Good shout. Mm-hmm. As Ronnie Bell worked so well for me last year, Gareth, I decided to stay on the offensive side of the ball, and I'll go with Isaac Guerrero. I mentioned him in my bold predictions, and I just think I'll stick with that one, because I know Najee's got about 18 on his list, and I couldn't see Guerrero on there, so I thought I'd go with that one.
Not expecting early, but I think there's a role for Renardo Green, cornerback, this season. I think he's going to work his way in and be a very important part of the defence by come the end of the season. So I'm going for Renardo Green. Sticking with cornerbacks, he's got to live up to Demo's performance, hasn't he? So
he does. And I think Najee, all jokes aside, has taken the whole safety room from what I remember reading, or are we going to make him narrow it down when he joins us again after he ends his contract holdout, which is very soon, hopefully, everybody?
I think we probably know he's picking Mustafa or Jair Brown, I think he had last year, didn't he? So I think he asked for the whole safety room. So I think he'll have to take his pick. So shall we look ahead to the Week 1 matchup with the New York Jets visiting Levi's for Monday Night Football? Great matchup, I think, for Week 1. I'm just disappointed that we're going to get Red Zone Sunday and still just waiting that extra day for the Niners game. We've waited this long. We can wait one day extra. But there we are. Week 1, I always say it can be a banana skin. We haven't seen what the teams are like, and it's all about preparation and rust and whether you can hit the ground running. How do you think this is going to shake out? I'm going to hand over to Paul, because I know he always does his homework and he's not let us down for Week 1.
I have done my homework, so the over-under is 44.
Well
I'm
done.
guessing we're going to do our score predictions at the end of this period. So I don't know if you know this, Gareth, but the quarterback for the New York Jets is Aaron Rodgers.
Never heard of him.
I think there was talk that we might have drafted him once over, and every
Never
time he
heard
plays
that.
against us. So, obviously the Jets fans are very giddy. It didn't work out well for them last year, but from what I've seen, he's obviously completed training camp. Apparently, they've made him do a lot more work in training camp this year. The defensive side of the ball is where I focus a lot of my attention, because if you watched the Jets last year, chaps, the defense was the one that carried the team. Be no surprise to everybody listening, Robert Saleh has his influence. The scheme is identical to what we know, with the, front loaded with the defensive ends. But their secondary is quite scary. One of Najee's favourite players, Sauce Gardner, going up against Brandon Ayuk is something that I'm looking at. But what about you, Lee? I keep looking at this and thinking, week 1 at home, prime time. I just think it's going to be an easy win, which is reflected in my score prediction. But do you want to pick
I think it's going to be far from an easy win. I kind of agree with Gareth. It could be banana skin. It makes us really nervous because the Jets have got a fantastic defense, which I can say this year, because there's been no bold predictions about the number of times I say that. I don't think we're going to need to worry about Aaron Rodgers. I think on his way out of the tunnel, he's going to trip over his own sanitary towel and re-rupture his Achilles and end his season, end his career there, to the tune of "Bye Bye Baby" from the 49er fans as he's carted off. He's not even going to throw a single snap in the regular season. But I'm
fan of Rodgers then, Lee, yeah?
I'm very nervous. He's a good quarterback. That's all I can say. Good about him. He's a good quarterback.
So you said you're nervous.
I am.
See, what we're doing this year, Gareth, is rather than someone come on and monologue a scouting report, we want to have a conversation. Now, you're right, Lee. They were the number 1 in the league last year in total yards allowed per play at only 4.57 yards. They had quite a lot of sacks, but in free agency, they've lost a lot of the production. They lost 3 of the big hitters in free agency. 19.5 of the 48 sacks that they got have disappeared. Now, they have replaced. They've got a few names that we recognise, Gareth. Javon Kinlaw has gone across there. Solomon Thomas. They tend to focus on that wide 9 formation, which means they can be got at through the middle, which Najee, if you're listening, buddy, Jordan Mason, this is where he steps up, Gareth, and we run the ball down the middle, because Salah's going to be ready, Lee, for those wide zone runs that we do with CMC. And I think Shanahan flips the script. I think he runs the ball through the middle with Jordan Mason. I think Brock Purdy will go after the much vaunted secondary. And I think, as I said, when we get the score predictions, I think we're going to win this one. But the Jets' defense is pretty scary when you look at the stats. But you said it off air, Gareth. It's week 1. What happened last year? Can take that and you can forget about it.
Yeah, I think it is going to be tough. I think defenses usually start well. They can start hot. Sometimes it takes an offense a little bit of a while to get going. I think obviously we've got that continuity on the offense, but you can't replace the actual game time and knocking off the bit of rust. I think it's probably going to be low scoring, particularly I think in the first half. I think there is going to be a little bit of us cancelling each other out, but I do think we have enough to go out and win it at the end. I think the big unknown is Rodgers. He's 41 now. He's just had a serious injury, and he made a big chunk of his reputation through mobility, scrambling, making things happen, being elusive. If he hasn't got any of that, he's obviously evolved his game over the years and won MVPs in his late 30s. It's going to be interesting to see how he can cope with what I think is going to be a good pass rush. I think he's had a little bit of turnover on the offensive line, and obviously he hasn't got to play with them that much other than over the off season. I think that is important with Rodgers and his offensive line sorting out their protections, and I do think we are going to see something I mentioned in the in one of the earlier shows. I think we're going to give a defense with a lot of different looks. And I think we're going to blitz from different positions. We had Hufanga doing the blitzes last couple of seasons from the safety position. I think we are going to mix that up. Hence, one of my bold predictions there with corners and safeties all pitching in to get a few stats on the sack sheet this year. I think we can get after Rodgers, and I think it'll be dirty, but we'll grind out that one good drive that Shanahan always seems to have in him in the game, and will edge ahead and stay ahead for the rest of the game. Lee, you got anything to add?
No, I mean, I've got to completely agree with that. I think we will get after Rodgers. I think we'll have some success there. It's going to be interesting to see how good Malik Collins plays, and whether or not Yvonne Hargrave actually steps up from last season, because last season was a bit of a disappointment. For me, it's the opposite side of the ball. It's a little bit of a worry. Obviously, I've picked Dominic Pooney as the player to watch. I'm excited to see him play a competitive game against a good defence. But I'm also nervous about Brendel going up against Quinnen Williams. I think that could be the weak link in our offensive line. I think Williams can have some success there. And then if Gardner covers Ayuk rather than Debo, I think we might see the impact of the holding. I think Sauce Gardner is one hell of a player. I think Ayuk's going to be a step or two off the pace because he hasn't been training. I think that's going to show. And I think we might struggle at first to get into the game, and you know well that when the 49ers don't get into a lead, they do struggle. If it's not going their way to start off with, it takes Shanahan an age to actually change it and start getting some success. And that's the kind of thing that we saw in both the divisional round and the NFC Championship game. It just was not going our way for the first 3 quarters. And it took Shanahan a bit of time to change it. And I think that could be the case on Monday night. I hope it's not, but it could be. And I do think this is a banana skin. And if it comes down to anything, it's the Jets defence that are going to make it tough on us, not the Jets offence.
Are you not both impressed that Purdy's fully healthy? He's bulked up a little bit. He's been getting the ball out quickly. So I remember a few years ago when Aaron Rodgers used to roll in as a Packer, and we couldn't get to him because he'd get the ball out quickly. And I think the weapons Purdy's got, he's going to get the ball out. Gardner doesn't tend to follow one receiver, but I think Kyle might get clever, and you might see Ayuk running his routes, but Debo being the focus, and they might not be used to that. They're used to Debo getting the ball as a running back. I think Debo's receiver might be the key early on in this, and then by the time they make the adjustments, I think then Jordan Mason will be thrown in. And I do think you're right. I think Shanahan is going to put together one of those drives that takes their soul, where it's methodical, gets the rhythm going. But the Jets' offensive line is better, as you've both said. I think Kittle will be used more as a blocker in this one, Lee. So some of our bold predictions of his receiving touchdowns, I think he's going to be there to protect Brock Purdy. And I think that's the key. Brock is QB1. The whole team knows he's QB1. He's got command of the offense. And I think it's going to be a tough game. But I just think, given where we finished the season, I think we're going to continue where we left off. And it's reflected in my score prediction. But Solomon Thomas is a name that I thought we'd all look out for. And one, Lee, that I thought you'd want me to pronounce, Quantez Stigers. There's a name Paul Scrimshaw thought I'd get wrong. So apparently he's impressed in pre-season, drafted after playing in the CFL, and thank God he doesn't play for us, because you can imagine me saying his name when I'm excited.
Yes, I can definitely imagine that, Paul. I can definitely imagine that.
But it's well documentedly that Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed and Michael Carter are good. All jokes aside, me and Lee aren't going to be sprinkling fantastic and well documented throughout the pods, but I didn't want to bring that to your focus, Lee, because I think you've focused on that a little bit too much during the pods last year.
Well, maybe.
Consider yourself told.
Yeah, I can't remember if you just said this, Gareth, but I expect to see Debo get the ball a lot more than Ayuk in this game on Monday night.
Paul said
I
it,
expect
but I
to
agree.
see Paul, and I expect to see Jennings targeted on pretty much most third downs, because they do use him as a safe pair of hands. And I'd like to see him get in the face of some of the Jets defense, because he just wind them up, and that's why I like him.
I love it.
I think he's great at doing that. I mean, both him and Ayuk do a very good job at winding up the defense with the blocking. And I think that's what we need.
The key as well, Gareth, might be the linebacking room. I think if you look on paper, the middle of the field is where Brock likes to live. CJ Mosley is the veteran linebacker, the Mike linebacker for the Jets. He's solid, but he's no Fred Warner. And you look at their linebacking room, it doesn't fill me with confidence. So I think that's where Brock will attack this defensively. And that's where I think Debo is going to get a lot of the ball in the middle, and he's going to eat on Monday night stroke Tuesday morning football.
I hope you're right, because I mean the Jets have got the 6th and 9th best rated linebackers. They've got an argument there of being the second best linebacking core in the NFL.
Not as good as us, though.
Right behind, I was just about to say right behind us.
I think it's. I
But
think
not
you
right
mentioned
behind.
it
We're behind.
and not come back to it. I think it's going to be the run game. I think we're going to see the first touch of the season is going to be from CMC. I think he's going to get a workload. We are going to pound, and that is how we're going to set ourselves up in the first half. And then I think Shanahan will digest that and see where's open. I think Ayuk will be used sparingly because obviously he isn't game fit. You're not going to perhaps throw him back in and give him a big workload, but I can see him popping up with a big reception. I'm torn between he's either going to get one reception for 2 yards and a TD, we're going to sneak him in a red zone, or he's going to have something like 2 receptions for 60 odd yards, and he's going to get those chunk plays in the middle of the field, which are going to set us up for CMC and Kittle to be the scorers. I know Najee has chucked in with he thinks Samuel's going to have a big game, a couple of TDs for Debo. So he could be right.
I tell you what was interesting when I was preparing as well. A lot of talk, chaps, has been on Robert Saleh coming back as the Jets head coach. Obviously, he was our beloved defensive coordinator. But this off-season, Gareth, he's left Ulbrich to kind of run the defense on his own. And he's actually been stood with Hackett at Jets training camp. And he's been focusing on the offensive side of the ball. I think Rodgers struggled to get on the same page as Wilson. Obviously, they've got Bryce Hall. So obviously, he wants his touches because he's arguably their version of CMC. So when I read that, I thought that was quite interesting that Salah, known for his defensive kind of abilities, has been focusing on the offensive side of the ball. I think this is a more balanced Jets team than we've seen in years. And I just wanted to give a shout out to the late Dan Harris from Let's Talk Sports. As soon as I saw this game on the schedule, he was a good friend of mine, Jets fan, and I know he would have loved to talk all things 49ers and Jets, and I just wanted to give him a shout out. So
yeah, well worthy. So, shall we have the first score predictions of the season? Shall we chuck Najee in first as punishment for missing? Though no fault of his own, he's a busy lad at the moment. He has got a 21-17. I assume that was a Niners win. He wasn't specific, but I'm going to assume that was it. A perfect Purdy performance and a Mustafa Demo combination for a fumble recovery TD. So thanks for those, Najee. Good to see that even though you couldn't join us, you have sprinkled in a couple of the usual predictions there. So hopefully you'll be back on the show soon. So we've got Najee with a Niners win. Oh, Paul, you are the reigning champion. You should have really gone first, but
no, it's fine, Gareth. I mean, Lee will already be saying if this is close. Najee didn't specify which team. I can already see how Gowland's brain's working. It's not written down, but I've gone for a 49ers 31-14 victory.
Wow!
As I said to you earlier, Brock throws for two TDs. CMC rushes for 2 TDs. I think the 2 Brock throws, one to Ayuk, one to Samuel. And like I said, I'm very confident that we get into a rhythm. And I think this one is going to be, as I said on my score, a lot easier than people are saying out there.
Confident and bold. Lee, top that.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm not that confident. Like I said, I think this could be a potential banana skin game. I think it's going to be a very nervous game. I'm going for an incredibly close game. Originally, I was going to go for 21-17, but Najee stole me thunder. So I've actually gone for a little bit higher score than that. And I'm going for a 28-27 49ers win.
Good game.
The emotional roller coaster's back. Oh, God.
That does sound like a good game. I have got, much the same as Najee, I have got a sneaking A-type win. I've actually got a 2018 bum squeaker, I think, to start the season. We're going to have enough at home, and with the experience and the gelled team that we've got, we're going to have just enough to get it over the line and keep the Jets at bay and send Aaron back to New York with another loss from Levi's to go with his collection. I've got Ayuk and CMC. CMC, 120 yards. I think CMC is going to be the league's leading rusher after week 1, and he's never going to lose it. How about that for bold? Including the bye week.
I have Ayuk getting less than 30 yards.
I
But
didn't
4
do a
TDs.
yardage prediction. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many Jennings going to throw?
I think
He's gonna save that for the
Devo
end.
I think Devo is definitely going to be over 100 yards, 125 plus yards through the air. I think Jennings might end up with 60, 70 yards and a touchdown.
See, for all the talk of the Jets defence, they allowed 124 rush yards per game last year, Gareth, and CMC averaged 91 on his own. So you add in some of the others, and I think of all the offences to go against Kyle Shanahan going against Salah, I think this is blockbuster TV, and I think Shanahan's proven when he's gone up against those people who have watched his scheme. I think he just has the wrinkles. And the thing is, Lee, he's going to probably show Salah something that he thinks he's seen, and it's going to be something totally different, and that's what I'm looking forward to. And he never had CMC before. I just think it's the stars are aligning for my predictions anyway.
We've evolved quite far from the Salah years, I think, on both sides of the ball, and the way we play. So there is an element there, but I think as much as Salah might know Shanahan, I think Shanahan probably knows how Salah's going to approach things, perhaps a little bit more, and he's going to be able to scheme something up to find some gaps in that Jets defence. We've been going for an hour and 10. That's quite good between just the three of us. It's perhaps it's useful Nadji's not been here. I think we should probably wrap it up. One thing that we usually do, or have done in past years, is we've gone around the divisions and talked about the Championship and the Super Bowl matchups. We haven't done that. Maybe we'll save that for another show early on in the season. But I do think you should do your Super Bowl matchup predictions now, because before week 1. Unless you want to rattle through it.
I was going to say, it's not going to take very long at all, is it? I mean, we just name them. So for me, I'm not going to do wild cards. I'm just going to do champions of each division. So I've got the Jets. Well. Jets, Ravens.
Mr. Unprepared.
Yeah.
This is everybody. Sorry there, Lee. Mr. Unprepared's just got all the divisional winners just there to reel off. Go on, buddy.
Jets, Ravens, Texans, Chiefs. NFC, I've got Cowboys, Packers, Saints, 49ers. AFC Championship game, Chiefs, Ravens. NFC Championship game, 49ers, Packers. 49ers, Ravens, Super Bowl.
Wow.
I'd love it to be the Chiefs, so we can beat the Chiefs. But I think it's going to be the 49ers, Ravens.
I think it's going to be the 49ers Ravens, as does Neil Reynolds. He got a bit of stick on social media. I'm not sure why. If you're predicting the Niners in the Super Bowl, that's good for me. So, yeah, I think what Lee said for the championship games is right, Gareth. So there's no need for me to repeat Lee's answers. And I think the 49ers win the Super Bowl because it's a bold prediction, sure. And you haven't said that, Lee. You come on.
You haven't. Do you want to go round through any of the division winners, Paul?
Dolphins are going to win the AFC East. The Ravens are going to win the AFC North. The Texans are going to win the AFC South. Shocker, AFC West, Kansas City Chiefs.
No, really?
The NFC East, Dallas Cowboys. The NFC South, the Atlanta Falcons. The NFC North, I'm going to say the Detroit Lions. And the NFC West, the San Francisco 49ers. There you go.
Did you mention NFC Championship game?
I think it's going to be the 49ers Packers, like what Lee said.
Yeah. And how about AFC?
I think it's going to be the Chiefs Ravens. And similar to Lee, it would have been kind of nice to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, but I think we're going to see the Ravens 49ers rematch in New Orleans. And hopefully the lights stay on for the full game this time.
Yeah.
I think we're in some sort of unanimous almost agreement here. I have got the Jets, followed by the Ravens, surprisingly. I've got the Texans as well, and the Chiefs. So I think we're the only difference there is Paul going for the Finns.
Yeah.
I'm going to deviate. I've got the Eagles over the Cowboys. As I said, I can see the Cowboys having a 6 or 7 win season. Again, whether it's wishful thinking, I don't know. I've got the Packers, certainly over the Lions. I think that the Packers are going to be really good. I think The South, not quite sure who's gonna get this. I think the Saints is a bit of a stretch from Lee. I've got the Saints potentially being one of the worst teams. So I think that just from continuity, I think the Bucks are probably going to edge it almost by default. And I do have the 49ers winning in the West. And I've got exactly the same. Chiefs, Ravens, Niners, Packers, and a Niners-Ravens Super Bowl. So look at that. We can't all be wrong, surely, can we?
Do you want to bet?
No.
Now, on the live yesterday, Gareth, we said that we were going to announce the winner of the Joe Staley bobblehead. However, I'm not sure, are we at the stage yet of announcing it? So if we're not ready tonight, we might have to do it ahead of next week. But the winner
I think
will
we should.
know.
Yeah, I think we should announce it.
Now?
Yeah.
So is it who I think it is, Lee?
It is,
Before I get it wrong.
Yeah, you have to take the first answer that went in there.
So the official photographer, Wayne Humphrey, is the winner of the Joe Staley Brandon Ayuk competition. So Wayne, you won't need to fork out for postage because Lee will see you at London. I will remind Lee to pack the bobblehead because he'd totally forgotten about it. And also, Gareth, you might have seen on the group that Georgina is arranging a local watch party in Manchester for the Vikings game. So what we want for the podcast people listening is we're moving away from official, unofficial mini-meets. Basically, if you're having a gathering in your local area, we're calling that a local watch party, a local meet. The Vikings game will be the Sky game at 6 o'clock. So if you can't make London, you can't make Manchester, feel free to head out, put some messages in the group, meet up with fellow faithful, because there's nothing better than watching football together in an environment like a sports bar, a casino. And I just wanted to put that public service announcement out there, because we want to see lots of watch parties, Gareth.
We do. I think if we can have one every week, that's great. It's a lot to ask around the UK. But hopefully we're going to start off well with the week 2 in London. Hopefully people are going to leave that event with a few new friends, maybe bump into people, and suddenly you realise they only live 20 minutes down the road, and you're halfway to having your own watch party right there. So I think it's great that we're starting off with the watch party in week 2. Have you got anything else to add on this season? I mean, the only other thing is what I've been hearing about is 2 things: Super Bowl hangover and Super Bowl window. Do you have any... How much do you agree with those existing as concepts?
None at all. None at all.
I disagree totally. The vibes are back. The gang is back. We're back, baby.
We battle hardened.
Super Bowl.
If anything, we're more prepared this season than what we were last season.
I think so. There's been little bits of luck against us, like Greenlaw's injury, things like that. I think this has got to be the season where we can just overcome anything that comes in our way. It's going to be very difficult to three-peat. That's what everybody's been talking about. We didn't manage it. Some other good teams haven't managed it. The Patriots never managed it. I think it's going to be a little too much for the Chiefs. And I think we are going to get over the hump. There we are. A good point to end, I think. Thank you, gents. It has been a pleasure, as always. Looking forward to spending the season with you. And thank you to everyone who listens and watches the show. Hopefully, you have enjoyed this little bit lengthy, but not too rabbit hole strewn preview. And hopefully, you will join us twice a week, very roughly, for the rest of the season, then the playoffs, and then the Super Bowl. So don't forget, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel or wherever you're getting your podcasts so you can make sure you don't miss us. That's all there is to say. Hold tight. We're off. Go Niners.
Go Niners.
Bang, bang, Niner gang.
We love the San Francisco 49ers deep in our heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Gareth and Hurst, stiff farm going 99. Don't get it twisted, one and all with prime time. John Taylor, Jerry Rice down.